Are we seriously sitting here watching this train wreck unfold? Let's be completely transparent. Dropping a single basketball game happens to every team in professional sports. You suffer cold shooting nights, bad bounces, or simply get outpaced by an opponent on an absolute tear. We can rationalize a standard loss, but what is utterly intolerable is a spineless, completely detached evasion of responsibility that just compromised the Indiana Fever's post-game podium. What Stephanie White and Aaliyah Boston put on display wasn't just disappointing. It was a blatant affront to the intelligence of every dedicated fan investing their hard-earned money into this franchise. This incredibly high-caliber roster, anchored by a generational playmaker who single-handedly commands over a quarter of this entire league's economic footprint, was completely outworked, out-strategized, and outclassed by the Golden State Valkyries. Yet, instead of confronting reality or executing ownership like elite competitors, the head coach and star center hid behind microphones to point fingers at absolutely everyone else. Look at how this disastrous session opened. Following a brutal, high-stakes collapse defined by late-game panic and broken execution, White was directly questioned about those final, failing offensive possessions. A dominant, elite leader owns a failure, admits to poor execution, and takes responsibility for the tactical breakdown. But instead of showing that competitive grit, White chose deflection.
What did you like about those final two shots, both the one before the jump ball and then the one with the try higher?
I thought they were both good looks. They're a really good defensive team. And when you get an opportunity to get some clean looks, it's important. I thought we got some good looks.
She actually claimed she liked the looks. What planet are we on right now, Stephanie? What tape were you even reviewing? Let's dissect that exact possession right before the jump ball. Caitlin Clark gets absolutely swarmed by aggressive blitz and somehow threads a brilliant pass inside to Aaliyah Boston. This is your premier interior anchor, the powerhouse player signed to a massive, foundational contract. Boston secures the ball, but instead of executing a forceful, high IQ post move to the rim, she completely unravels under the pressure, spinning aimlessly like a top and blindly launching an undisciplined prayer toward a cylinder with zero fundamental technique. It was a completely fractured, broken sequence, yet White sits there with total composure and calls it a good look. That is pure, unadulterated delusion and a total refusal to admit that her offensive system is actively failing. But if you think that tactical denial is a low point, brace yourself, because what followed next is an absolute fireable offense for any elite sports franchise. When a reporter asked a direct tactical question about whether she anticipated a heavy second-half minutes from the Valkyries' number 4 option, her response was staggering.
Question for Coach. Did you expect number 4 for the Valkyries to play as much as she did in that second half? You say it's good.
Yeah.
Look, she didn't know you didn't. No, you didn't. Aaliyah Boston had the point on the paper to show who she was talking about. She don't even know who number 4 is. Stephanie White wasn't prepared for her.
Did you actually witness that sheer lack of preparation? White looked utterly clueless, forcing Aaliyah Boston to literally lean across the podium, scan the stat sheet, and physically point out who number 4 even was. This is a highly compensated head coach whose primary directive is film study, meticulous scouting, and comprehensive game preparation. Yet she didn't even recognize the jersey number of an impact player actively tearing her defensive scheme apart. It is an embarrassing, unacceptable failure that left the entire roster completely unready for the opening tip. And the lack of discipline didn't stop at the bench. Boston completely neutralized her own physical advantages during the first half, floating aimlessly around perimeter and committing incredibly low IQ fouls despite being the most powerful presence on the floor. Yet, when pushed by the media regarding the tactical hurdles presented by the Valkyries, Boston completely refused to own her flawed footwork or undisciplined play, offering zero accountability for her performance.
Yeah, I wasn't even able to get into a flow. I played the second half. I think it's super hard to try and figure out and understand how the refs are calling it. I think it's super hard to get charged fouls when I don't think anyone's in legal position. Shout out to the Valks. They did a great job selling it, and the refs bought it, to be honest, so good for them.
Just listen to the absolute deflection. She openly blamed the officiating, claiming nobody was in a legal position, and accusing the Valkyries of merely selling calls to fool the referees. Are we serious right now? This persistent foul trouble follows her at every arena, against every opponent, under every single officiating crew, because she consistently fails to establish deep post positioning before the defense sets, resorts to lowering her shoulder to bulldoze stationary defenders, and then acts completely stunned when the whistle blows. Instead of humbling herself in the film room to fix her mechanical flaws, she sits at a podium accusing the opposition of flopping, the absolute epitome of a losing mindset where it's always someone else's fault. But a player only learns to deflect blame that comfortably when it is modeled by their leadership. And tonight, Golden State Valkyries head coach Natalie Nakes completely outclassed and coached undisputed circles around Stephanie White.
Here, where Caitlin Clark's had a tough shooting game, are there any similarities to how they guarded her last year to this year? Do you guys know any different wrinkles at the team?
I mean, I don't know. I think she.
What do you mean you don't know? They ask, is it similarities in how they guarded her last year to this year? This is the head coach. She said, I don't know.
While Natalie Nakes was orchestrating masterclass mid-game adjustments to ruthlessly exploit the Fever's glaring weaknesses, Stephanie White stood frozen on the sideline with her arms crossed, offering absolutely zero tactical intervention to halt the bleeding. The absolute nadir of this entire post-game press conference. The definitive proof that White is fundamentally out of her depth trying to maximize a generational icon like Caitlin Clark came when a reporter tossed her a total softball question about what similarities or defensive wrinkles she noticed at how teams are guarding Clark this season compared to last year. It was a prime baseline opportunity for any competent head coach to break down defensive schemes and commandingly discuss her star player's massive gravitational impact on the floor. Instead of capitalizing on a standard basketball question with an insightful schematic breakdown, Stephanie White completely deflected, offering a dismissive, superficial response that exposed her total lack of preparation and strategic vision.
To free her up. Nothing. You put her out there on the island. The girl gets blitzed and trapped all game. You created nothing for Caitlin Clark. Like they're asking you about the similarities and how they're guarding her. You're saying you don't know. Maybe that's why you have no idea on how to free her up. You don't know. You don't know nothing. You never know anything. I don't know. Oh yeah, I don't know.
To respond to a direct schematic question with a dismissive "I don't know" is a complete and utter abdication of duty that should warrant immediate termination. You are the head coach of the Indiana Fever. Your entire offensive blueprint, the trajectory of this franchise, and your multi-million-dollar job security rests solely on your ability to decode exactly how opposing defenses are blitzing and locking down Caitlin Clark. For an elite professional leader to look a reporter in the eye and plead ignorance is an absolute embarrassment that proves she is fundamentally unqualified for this stage. Pack her bags and clear out her office immediately, because if a head coach cannot even articulate the defensive schemes being thrown at her generational superstar, it is mechanically impossible for her to ever put this team in a position to win. You offered absolutely zero tactical support to Caitlin Clark, leaving a premier young playmaker completely isolated on an island to fight through 94-foot face guarding, violent pick-and-roll blitzes, and aggressive corner traps while executing zero-adjustment screens, staggered sets, or quick-hitting counters. You watched her battle 3 defenders simultaneously, only to plead ignorance at the podium, all while allowing Veronica Burton to relentlessly exploit your defense in one-on-one isolation, inexplicably abandoning the aggressive blitzing scheme that forced a turnover the single time you actually deployed it. This isn't a minor slump. It is a catastrophic failure of leadership, intelligence, and preparation that forces your franchise superstar to fight a war on 2 fronts against hostile defenses and her own bench's blatant incompetence. The excuses are done. This coaching experiment is completely cooked, and management must intervene immediately before wasting another crucial year of a generational offensive phenom. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Expose this embarrassing press conference. Smash that like button and subscribe with notifications on as we continue to hold this franchise fully accountable every single day.